Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
This is Lois Crane here, and I'm advising you to do yourself a favor and watch the Alliance Guys podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the PreParty, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal, and I come to you each and every Tuesday to talk to you about wrestling. And this is no different than any other Tuesday, because even though we're just a few days away from Thanksgiving here in the United States, there is wrestling happening tonight. There is wrestling happening this weekend, and I want you all to be a part of it. So let's talk some wrestling. I see some of my friends are already in the chat, so let's say hello to Media Mike, who wants me to get demonetized. Hey, Mike, that's not cool, man. Let's not do that. James Bell's in the house. Hi, everyone. I'm heading to the airport in Rio de Janeiro. Whoa! You're in Brazil? I think they just had a big Taylor Swift concert in Rio. Paladin is ready. Willie's here. Congratulations on your son's wedding, man. That's awesome, James. Big Willie's in the house. Bobby Petito, haven't seen you around in a while. Bobby, welcome back. Steve G's here. Mandy's here. What's up, Mandy? Let's see. What else? Who did I miss? Anyone? Nope, that's everyone. Cool. If this is your first time on the show, please feel free to jump into our chat, interact with us. We like, we and the collective. I enjoy when you guys are active in the chats. We can discuss wrestling. Sure, I have some things I want to talk about, but I don't mind going off on tangents to talk about what you guys want to talk about. Did I get any of Swerve's blood on me? No, thankfully I was far away from the ring, and I got to tell you, man, that spot made me nauseous, dude. I was like, what the flip is happening right now? I couldn't believe what I was seeing with my own two eyes. It took a minute to register what was happening, and then it was a bit much. That was one of the most gruesome death matches I've seen live, and I don't go to a lot of death matches. It's not my scene at all. But that match probably should have been the main event. Swerve was getting a great reaction from the crowd. It was really kind of chaotic. Not that this is an AEW show, but yeah, that was a bit much for me. Dodie says, Thanksgiving, do we talk of Tyrus ate the whole thing? Dodie, you're stealing Willie's gimmick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was. I'm pretty sure Tyrus is going to have a very nice Thanksgiving feast this year. I could say that much. Willie, I'm not going to read that last one. Mike says that spot was about worse than the insuffiliation spot from the NWA. Yeah, I think you mean cocaine spot. I thought it was. Look, AEW is a lot more established, and what I mean by that is they have a lot more money than the NWA, so they can get away with things like this. Of course, this also was on pay-per-view. You can't really hold much like the cocaine spot in the NWA. I don't feel like the company is going to deal with any repercussions from this. Now, of course, AEW has a TV deal already in place. That deal could have some difficulties renegotiating, and that might be a spot that they remember for the next time that they renegotiate. Whereas the NWA is still working on their TV deal, and that was a very, very silly thing to do when you don't have a deal in play. Pal says the blood drinking spot was worse than the cocaine spot, but AEW has a great exactly, and no fans are complaining about it. I mean, look, Pal, there are some people complaining about it, but at the end of the day, it's I heard one person say, "I brought my kids to the wrestling show, and this is what we got." It's like, you brought your kids to a wrestling show when it was advertised as a Texas death match. I mean, did you think they were going to bring out Legos and gummy bears? It was a Texas death match. It's supposed to be extreme. I understand that. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of it, and had that been the only match that I was going to see that night, I probably wouldn't have wanted to go. But it was a stacked card, and everything up until that spot and a few other spots in that match, it was a really good show. The one that got me too was the glass. I don't know if you guys saw the glass, because when he poured it out, you could see the little tiny shards too. It almost looked like it was sand being applied to his chest. And when he dove on him, like, that's just going to cut both of you up. It's a stupid spot. But, that's AEW. Got it, Mike. Bobby says that I like the title reign of Kenzie Paige so far. Paladin says, I couldn't believe neither of them were at the media scrum. They probably needed to be in medical. Well, and then the next day, I don't know if you guys are aware of how close in proximity the forum, the Kia Forum, is to the football stadium next door. It's literally within walking distance. And the very next day, Swerve was at the that's how much I don't watch football. I don't know the name of the stadium, and it's in my own backyard. Whatever, where the Rams play, he was at the game. So it's like he was okay after all of that. But man, like the staples, when he was hitting himself with the staple gun, I was like, this is too much. That was a lot. That's the problem. It's advertising as pro wrestling. You're not going to know what each match unfolds. And I hear that too, Mike, but at the same time, it was very clear that AEW was going to be having a hardcore death match. Like they called it the Texas Death Match. And the events leading up to that, if you were watching AEW, you could see that there was a lot of vitriol between the two of them, a lot of bad blood. So you knew it was going to be extreme. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't, it was a bit much for me. But like I said, most of the people there were just enjoying the heck out of it. Hangman didn't go no heat for the spot. I don't know what you mean. Hangman got a ton of heat. There was that crowd, I keep hearing on the radio, they're saying it was like a 60 or 70-30 in terms of Swerve. But from where I was sitting, it was about 50-50. James H. Jackson stealing a little bit of my thunder, but tonight on Fight for free, there's going to be the title versus title match. This is it's a live match. Okay. So you could read what James H. Jackson said. A huge match tonight, EC3 versus Mr. Pectacular Jesse Gooters, live on Fight for free. Title versus title. It's not live, or it's not taped. Still not sure how they afford to broadcast live TV each week at 7 p.m. right after Power on Fight. It's going to be, guys should definitely check it out. It's almost like a secondary show for the NWA, because you're going to have World's Heavyweight Champion taking on Jesse Gooters, who has been kind of like the face of OVW for a few years now. Steve says, I remember AR Fox versus Swerve and Lucha Underground. They also had some gory matches. Yeah, I know right before Swerve signed with the WWE on an NXT deal a couple years ago, he was doing a lot of death matches like CZW, and I think I don't know if he ever made it to XPW, but wouldn't have been surprised. Yeah, Mike, I hope so too. It was gnarly. Bobby wants to know who you guys think should be the next challenger for Colby Carino in his junior heavyweight championship. I'm going to say right now, Jay Spade, the longest reigning number one contender for the NWA World's Junior Heavyweight Champion, should be the next guy to challenge for that title spot. Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to keep talking about AEW, but Paladin, you're right, man. It was pretty extreme, and they built it up the right way for it to have that kind of a payoff. But yeah, I want to talk more about the NWA. That's kind of what we do here on this Tuesday. Okay, this is the last one. One of the papers Hangman stapled onto Swerve was a drawing done by his son. Yeah, that was pretty intense. But who do you guys think should be the next challenger for Colby Corino and that Royal Crown Championship? I'm interested in who you guys think. Mike likes my vocabulary and using the word gnarly. Bobby says, how about Colby Corino versus Barrett Brown? Hey, man, I'm all about bringing Barrett Brown back into the fold. There's talk that the NWA might touch down in Texas soon. Barrett Brown would be a great ambassador for that Texas wrestling market, as well as bringing some credible junior heavyweights to the division. I mean, when you look at it now, there's not a whole lot of junior heavyweights on the roster currently. You have Joe Alonzo, and then who? Homicide hasn't wrestled since the 75th anniversary show, and I'm not sure where we're going to see him next. Who else is a junior heavyweight that's on the roster? You know, Rolando. I mean, technically, I guess. I don't know who else could be. I guess Fodder technically, but is he even technically on the roster at this point? We haven't seen him in a while. So that's something to think about. Willie Bowen says Laredo Kid or Danny Limelight should wrestle Colby for the World Junior Heavyweight Championship. Laredo Kid is still working with Impact, I believe, and I've seen him show up a lot in the independents not independents, but working in Mexico with AAA. So I don't know what his contract status is, if he's available to do more spots for the NWA, but it'd be interesting. Again, if he has a deal with AAA, you could see him come to the NWA. Then also, as far as Danny Limelight, they've never shown interest in Danny Limelight before. I don't think they're going to show interest in him now, him being the NWA. And all right, one more question. Paladin says, what do you think about Ospreay going all elite? Look, Tony could offer Will Ospreay some things that nobody else could. The first thing is a big money contract. The second thing is wrestling for the world title in Wembley Stadium. So write it down now. Put a circle around it. Put it on your calendar. When All In happens in 2024, I can bet you money it's going to be Will Ospreay will be the challenger for that title in the UK, and you could bet it's sure he's going to win it too. So Chris Drummond beat me to the punch here, but let's talk a little bit about the announcement from Pro Wrestling Insider. Two announcements, really. The first of which is that it seems like Maddie Rinkowski has been seen at the Performance Center for the WWE. Now, this was highly suggested and highly rumored that Maddie was on her way to the WWE. We know this because, she was one of the names reported that was going to be a part of the tryouts. So Maddie, who is a former NWA Women's Tag Team Champion, who held the titles with M95 Misa Kate, and had been a staple in the promotion since, I want to say since 2021. Looks like she's done after those tapings in Nashville following the 75th anniversary. It doesn't look like she'll be heading back anytime soon, especially if it's true that she has signed. But those are the rumors from Pro Wrestling Insider. A sheet. It is not. It's a legitimate news site. It's not a dirt sheet like House of Wrestling. Excuse me. So that's kind of exciting for Maddie. Personally, I wish her best of luck. She's a great talent. I feel like her character was really starting to develop as of late, and seeing what she's been doing on social media with her side character profile, whatever it is, it's been kind of fun to check her out. So we'll see the maturation of Maddie as it continues through the WWE. Also, Late breaking news too, and this isn't a real big shocking surprise, but we know that Camille, her contract expires at the end of the year, and it's been reporting that she has no plans to re-sign. And that doesn't mean she can't still continue to compete. She could still wrestle for the NWA without a contract. There's a lot of people who currently work for the NWA without a contract. This just affords her the opportunity to jump if the WWE calls, if AEW calls, if TNA calls, and she deserves it. Camille was consistently one of the best parts of the NWA in her tenure. What she entered the ring, I still don't think she is the world's greatest wrestler, but she has certainly become an attraction. And most of her matches usually stole the show when it came to NWA pay-per-views. Her big matchups with Taya Valkyrie, or her matchups with Kylie King. Those both ring a bell. Chelsea Green, her match with Max the Impaler. All of these matches were solid, were either good to great. Even dispatching the AEW talent whose name I forget right now. But she always had good matches on the card. Her match with Natalia Markova at the 75th was very, very much a hardcore match, but a very entertaining match. And sorry, guys, my phone's blown up. It was a very entertaining match. I really think very highly of Camille and her growth as a wrestler. I feel like if she has opportunity to make that next step, that she should certainly go for it, because we know that time is fleeting. As of right now, we haven't heard anything significantly about Tom. I would imagine that he's going to stick around. NWA has been good to Tom, and Tom's been good for the NWA. I feel like it's a good situation for him. But it'll be disappointing to see Camille go, in that she was a great women's champion, but she said it from the get-go. She's a one-time, and she did everything she could do in the NWA. So I wouldn't be surprised if she is going to be going on to greener pastures. But if that never materializes, there's still opportunities to show up in the NWA, a lot like a Matt Cardona, who appears, in and out when he feels like it. But that's pretty new information. Paladin says it's funny that WWE has more interest in Maddie than Camille. I just think that's a mileage thing, and I don't think that's an insult to Camille. I think Maddie's younger, and still the opportunity to kind of sculpt her in the way that they'd like to use their talent. Like WWE has picked up a lot of talents from Mission Pro, especially the younger ones. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Going back to some more of the comments in the chat. What's happened to Markova? Is she still in the NWA? Yeah, they just did a show at Markova's home promotion for the Win Wrestling, and we'll talk a little bit about that momentarily. But yeah, Noob, we did hear that, and like that's okay. It's good for her. It's good for the NWA. There's not a whole lot more they could have done with Camille. And until they take that next step into a bigger platform, I don't think Camille really benefits from working with the NWA anymore. If she has bigger opportunities, she should take them. Chris says, with Maddie and Camille on their way out, would you ink Tiffany Nieves if you're Billy? Possibly. Tiffany has proven herself to be quite a talent, but as of right now, I mean, the promotion's kind of flanked by.
Make you some lunch.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I forgot one more thing.
But currently the promotion's flanked with, having a pretty solid roster with pretty empowered already, kind of holding down the fort with Ella, Kenzie, and Kylie. And, you have other talents on the roster, Maxie Impaler. You've got Misa Kate, who I'm becoming a huge fan of. I don't feel like they have, if Tiffany Nieves is available, I'm sure they'd use her, but I don't think she's quite. Oh, thank you so much. My daughter just brought me water and lunch. Thank you, sweetie.
You're welcome. I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So yeah, as far as that goes, I don't think Tiffany Nieves is a must, but she's nice to have. Let's see. I like that new guy who tagged with Max and Judeus in Team War. He moved a unique way, kind of indie-rific though. I think he is a product, and that's I think is something miserable, Sam Miserable or something like that. He's a product of FTW, and so I think you'll see more of him as the days go. He will be, I think, on those power tapings or live power from Florida when those air. Willie says, would Corgan re-sign Austin Aries? I think that could potentially happen, but I don't know if there's a draw. If Austin Aries is still considered a draw in 2024. I mean, look, he's still a talented individual, but what does he bring to the table? What's the cost versus what he brings? Is there 100 people out there buying tickets to see Austin Aries? I don't know. Bobby says he wants to see more of Mo. I think Mo Jabari is very talented. I think he could be a great addition to the roster, and especially if it means that we see a more connected universe between what's happening north of the border with Dungeon Championship Wrestling. I think that's the name of the promotion. That's partially owned by Bret Hart. That would be a lot of I'd have a lot of interest to see what's going on with that. Let's see. Paladin says he's surprised that there's no chatter about the big company's interest in Camille that you know of. Like, remember that not everything you read on the internet is real, and not everything you don't hear isn't happening. Does that make sense? Whoa. I think I lost my own train of thought there. I'm confident when I say this that people are at least looking at Camille. Maybe she doesn't make sense for the WWE. Maybe she doesn't make sense for AEW. Hell, she might take on a more full-time deal with AAA. Heck, just recently, Tessa Blanchard signed a full deal with CMLL. So you don't know. Maybe a lucha company might have interest in Camille. Maybe somebody from Japan might have interest in Camille. He needs to stay away. Austin Aries is a total cancer. Ospreay's deal allows him to live in the UK like Pac does and will be flown in when he is used. I'll miss Maddie on the NWA. I think we all will. I think Maddie was a delight. She was fun. Ospreay said during the scrum that he chose AEW because his family can stay in the UK. That makes sense. Maddie made it to the CW after all. Yep, there it is. It's because of the backlash she received from her cosplay as Bianca Belair. I don't know about a cosplay with Bianca Belair, but if Camille did a blackface, that's not good. I read that NWA only got a few hundred pay-per-view buys and it's ready to cut talent. You can't, Paladin. Everything that's being reported is not fair or accurate, especially if it's coming from wrestling, the House of Wrestling. A lot of those stories are seemingly fabricated and just not true. Is Billy flying every single person out to every single show? No. Why would you? That doesn't make sense. But as far as talents have been cut, Camille wasn't cut. She chose not to re-sign. There's a difference. Let's see. I wouldn't be surprised to see Camille rocking Mexico titles on NWA in 2024. Also hope she gets that New York contract. We should want the best for our NWA fam. Yeah, I agree 100%. Camille is a rock star, and she put in her time, man. She's definitely grown as a competitor. If the big leagues are calling, she should be able to take that phone call and be able to go. I don't have any bad blood there. Layla Hirsch, there we go. Thank you, Bobby. Paladin says, I think Camille's big in the NWA, and that's it. All right, man. Dodie says Camille is definitely the Lightning One success story, for sure. WWE does not make or break pro wrestling. WWE is terrible for wrestlers who isn't liked by the BS McMahon family. Willie, I don't necessarily disagree with you. Now, remember, it's no longer Vince McMahon. It is now Endeavor. But I would say this, that the WWE is the most prominently known. If you're trying to become a star, if you're trying to become a bigger thing than just wrestling, the WWE is the biggest outlet. I think AEW could probably offer as much money, in some cases more, but I feel like the WWE is still like the pinnacle of popularity when it comes to pro wrestling. That's not debatable. PW Insider article says Tom is under contract with NWA still for a while. Okay. I'm not sure when Tom signed. I know that Nick and Camille had similar contracts that expired at similar times. Camille, I believe, had a kind of a big role in that Burke movie as June Byers. Yeah, I mean, that could be it too. She could be heading to Hollywood. Markova needs to be champion. I'd like to see her in the UWN tournament. Markova, I think, is going to be around for a while, man. I don't think she's going anywhere. Like I said, especially with the announcement of the FTW, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But not a fan personally, but I 100% think they should lock up Haley J, even if it's not exclusive. Haley J, though, she's with OVW right now, and I agree with you, though. I think I saw Haley J when she was wrestled for WOW back in August, and I was blown away how baby face booked she was. I guess I don't know how to say it. The crowd really reacted to her. She was super over as a baby face, and I feel like she could be a very good foil for Kenzie, Kylie, and Ella if she were to be in the NWA. And we know that she actually will be facing Camille this weekend, and we'll get to that in just a minute too. What's up, Jeremy? Maddie, I expected to go to WWE NXT, so that isn't a surprise. Corgan Wedding is supposed to be on reality show. I hope that happens. I hope you're doing better, Dow. Let's see. It's Brett's son who owns Dungeon Wrestling. Okay. Well, I mean, still a connection to the Hart family. Mike says, I won't miss Maddie. Okay, well, hey, you don't have to love everybody. I heard from J. Cal's Trashman that NWA is going to be 100% a minis promotion. I mean, that Trashman's kind of a liar, though. He looks through my belongings before he takes them. Lots of new faces debuted at the recent NWA taping at Robarts, which drew around 1,000 crowd. So much for the NWA cost cutting. Yeah, you can't believe everything. You can't. Matthew Underwood is in the house. What's up, Matthew? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the NWA. The big announcement that we heard, we didn't hear personally, but supposedly was announced over the weekend that FTW will be a part of the NWA family going forward. Essentially, they're going to be a developmental territory. So a lot of the training of wrestlers that are happening at FTW will get looked at by Billy and by, of course, the NWA personnel. Markova and Mikirio currently run the training school. And, you know, I don't know if this is if it's an end-all, be-all, break-all, but, you know, working with the NWA is going to give new faces opportunity to shine. Again, I don't feel like the NWA is going out and going to be signing all the top free agents. I think the better mission for them is to find the diamonds in the rough, to find people who are about to break through to that next side. So again, Mike Johnson said that that partnership looks to be going on. And then they also announced at that taping and on the NWA live show yesterday that the next pay-per-view will be taking place on January the 13th in Florida, probably in the Tampa area. It's going to be called NWA Paranoia, which is weird because Hard Times had been typically that December, January pay-per-view. So interesting that it won't be Hard Times. It looks like there won't be a Hard Times in 2023 at all. And it might not be used going forward because it won't be used for the first pay-per-view of the year. And again, Billy announced that they are going to be a developmental territory for the NWA in Florida. So that's, again, I don't completely love FTW as a territory, But I love the fact that they have an opportunity to see new faces and new blood. And that Florida wrestling scene is very thriving at the moment. There's a lot of promotions in the area. So having eyes on the ground and things happen, I think that's a pretty good deal. Let me see. Mercurio training our Fury. Yeah, maybe he's a better trainer than he is a wrestler. Like, famously, Michael Jordan never coached basketball because Michael Jordan could be a great basketball player, but he couldn't tell you how to be a great basketball player. Sometimes the best trainers are the ones who never made it to that big time. So, with Markova and Mercurio, hopefully something positive happens from that area. I'd rather see Mims versus Jeremiah Plunkett. I too would like to see Mims versus Jeremiah Plunkett. I keep thinking the FTW is the Taz belt, or am I hearing it wrong? Corgan likes to sign young, unknown wrestlers. Markova is wrestling an event with Matt Riddle I read about soon. Yeah, that's that event I think is happening up in the Northeast. And this FTW deal with the NWA proves that Markova most likely won't be going anywhere at the moment. Agreed, Dodie. I 100% agree with that. You might be ready to buy. You might be right, but they need to sign the diamonds in the rough. I agree with you on that too, Matt. But also, I feel like you can give these opportunities to up and comers, let them showcase themselves, and let them fight for those spots. They can only sign a finite amount of people. The NWA is not AEW, so if at some point you can't sign everyone, Tony can, but Billy can't. So as long as it's an open playing field, you let the cream rise to the crop. We were all blown away just how good Thrillbilly Silas Mason is, and he's been at it for like 10 years. He just needed an opportunity to shine, and he's shining right now. So I'm okay with that. The Paranoia pay-per-view will be in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. Joe announced Hard Times at Samhain. Yeah, they changed their mind, Matt. They changed it because it's no longer going to be Hard Times. Hey, J-Cal. Joe Galley told me maybe in 2024 they will do Hard Times when asked him a few weeks ago in the chat. I hope they do. Look, Hard Times has been one of the consistent pay-per-views they've done since they started in 2019. I think it held in 2020 was the first Hard Times pay-per-view. And then they did another one in 2022. I think they did one in 2021. I'm not sure. We know they took some time off in 2020. So Devin Dowling says, what's up? What's crack-a-lackin' playa? Holla, holla, holla. NWA does not need to use the Hard Times name anymore since the fans had a hard time watching Tyrus as a champion. Kikuchi for the win. There are no more Hard Times because Tyrus is retired from the NWA. Let's see. Women have done better in the NWA like Thunder Rosa or Camille, but Ricky Starks or some others, Eddie Kingston, LA Knight, got pretty good traction from NWA runs. Well, yeah, and I mean, like, look, those guys were already in the works, but they did get people talking about them. Kingston did some really good work for himself during the pandemic. Not only was he showcased in the NWA, but his feud at the time, I mean, he was wrestling the Dawsons. He wasn't really in like great matches. They were building up to him versus the Pope, but then he did that Game Changer wrestling event out in the field and basically called out Cody. He called out Nick Aldis, and I think he called out, Ospreay. And basically the first match he got was with Cody at AEW, and the rest is history. He got signed. So did Aldis. He got the TNA job, and now with WWE. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's truth to that too. Does the negative attention MLW contracts are getting make it harder for the NWA to sign talents to contracts? I don't know, man. That's a great question, and I don't think I can answer that for you. But outside of Effie, have you heard anyone turn down the NWA or tell them that they didn't want to be a part of it? I guess Nick Aldis. And I guess, honestly, maybe Camille because she's not re-signing. But, outside of that, I don't know. the other thing that I wanted to talk about this coming up too is tonight's show. But before we get to that, let's talk about what's happening. We'll talk about tonight's show. Tonight's powered by the Gobbler. This is their Thanksgiving show. Don't expect a lot of thrills and frills in this one, folks. The opening match that I'm only assuming, I don't have an actual card in front of me, but I believe we're going to see Big Mama make her debut in the NWA, taking on Kenzie Paige. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't do my homework on Big Mama. I'm not super confident on who she is or where she came from. If you can enlighten me in the chat, please do so. I thought I heard someone say that she was from Ohio Valley, but I don't know that to be sure. The next match, we have some comments. Let's see what the comment says. Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. Then the next match, playing off of last week's Abomination, where the Spectaculars were looking for a third man. They're calling it the new Spectaculars 1.0, but wouldn't this be the Spectaculars 2.0? Rolando, Rush, and a partner to be chosen, hopefully it's Paul Burchill if you're asking me, are going to take on the Southern Six, daddy. They don't do jobs in Nashville. You've got Kerry Morton, Alex Taylor, and the national champion, the Thrillbilly Silas Mason. And when the Thrillbilly and Rush Freeman are in the same match, you can just throw out the record books. It's going to be a war, daddy. And hopefully that's going to be a good one. Hey, Vixen Wrestling Club. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. Welcome to the show. It says Big Mama's out of Ohio, wrestles across the Midwest. I wonder if maybe Big Mama was scouted by Billy during the most recent Exodus Pro card. That might make sense. Let's see. Big Mama came from Derby City. Okay. So see, look, you guys are enlightening me here. Dodie says Hard Times was the pay-per-view when Tyrus won the title and EC3 and Tom embarrassed us all with the worst match of the era. Maybe that's why Billy wanted to get rid of that name, because it's becoming a black eye. I mean, that's possible. It's very possible. Let me see. I need some water. Excuse me for one moment. Refreshing. Everyone knows that paranoia is a side effect of drug use. I could take credit for this one. It was from Sandoval. Okay, that works. And Jay, she's been used in a ton of matches in the UWN. See, now you guys know that I didn't really watch a lot of Derby City. Sorry. Hard Times is a Spectacular versus the Southern Six. That's good, Willie. Kikuchi, we did talk about that. EC3 will defend his title tonight on Ohio Valley, which is going to be live on Fight. Live. So make sure you tune in after Power. Matthew Underwood thinks that Camila SmackDown pound. Recently, I think I saw Lois Grain in Women of Wrestling as the class master, who I know from on YouTube. She does a lot of small shows, so kind of happy for her. Yes, and that's why Lois Grain does the opening for our show now. Just real quick, for those of you who are asking, this is Lois Grain.
This is Lois Grain here, and I'm advising you to do yourself a favor and watch the Alliance.
Okay, that's enough of that. The cameraman was shoddy at best. But yeah, so comments. Why am I still on this? Yeah, so I mean, you got some exciting NWA action tonight. Of course, then the other match that was announced. I don't know what to think about this one. I don't know what this is even going to be, but a Turkey Gobbler Match. CJ with Magic Inc. taking on Aron Stevens. Hopefully this is a way they're building up to a Magic Inc. versus Blunt Force Trauma title match. I'm happy to see CJ on TV, but I'd rather see her wrestling in the women's division than whatever this is going to be. So that is Power. And of course, Power starts in about 25 minutes on youtube.com/the NWA. Or just NWA. Let's see. Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks. That is cool that I see her as Cammy along with Princess Peach. She's cool. Did a lot of pizza shows in LA or so too. Yeah, she's been around everywhere. And Lois Grain was the manager for the vegan Superman, so it was kind of a whole thing. So that's kind of for tonight. And then this weekend, I highly would advise you to stay tuned to what's happening with WrestleCade because WrestleCade is going to feature a lot of NWA talent at their event. There's multiple shows that are happening this weekend. There is the Game Changer Wrestling card that's happening, I believe, Friday night, which oddly enough puts Violent J of the Insane Clown Posse, most recently managing the Brothers of Funstruction, managing Effie in a matchup that'll feature George South managing the Mortons, both Ricky and Carrie. This should be very interesting considering the comments recently by Effie. But again, it is for Game Changer, not for the NWA, so maybe he doesn't feel hypocritical in taking this match. The next match, the next card that I think will appeal to a lot of NWA fans is this Ladies Night Out event that's happening, I believe, on Saturday. And some of the talent that has been announced for this show go as follows. We have Roxy, formerly of Pretty Empowered, Misa Kate, also the NWA Women Tag Team Champions, Pretty Empowered, Kylie and Ella. Then some other kind of fringe names too. You've got Freya the Slaya, who is currently the JCP Women's Champion, and also very active in Ohio Valley. You've got the Woad will be in attendance. Tiffany Nieves will be there. Formerly of the NWA, La Rosa Negra. Who knows? She could be back anytime. The Hex, former Women Tag Team Champions. Also, the Renegade Twins, former Tag Team Champions. And then you have Kenzie Paige, also former Tag Team Champion. Kylan King, and of course, the aforementioned Camille, the one time. And then some of the matches from that event have been announced. So the first of which that we point out is this will be for the Mission Pro Wrestling Championship. Tiffany Nieves defending against Izzy Marino. Yes, it's that Izzy. And the other match that's taking place is Camille taking on Hollywood Haley J. Again, this is kind of a big match as well, pitting the NWA versus Ohio Valley. And then, of course, this is probably the biggest match of that night because you've got the NWA champions, Kenzie, Ella Envy, and Kylie taking on Sarah Evans, Danny Moe, and Jada Stone. I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about that one. Again, these matches will be available on the Title Match Network. Want to stay tuned for that because I think that's a pretty good deal. I see a lot of forget Effie, bring George South to the NWA. I'm for it. WrestleCade shows their events on Premier Streaming Network. So, again, there's two different options for you there. Well, I know Premier will have WrestleCade, but I think the Ladies Night Out is a product of the Title Match Network, so it'll probably be exclusive to that. Doty says, with Exodus, FTW, and JCP, probably NWA's talent will be dominated by Tennessee, Ohio, and Florida-based talents, which, I don't have a problem with that. The NWA runs their TV tapings mostly in Nashville. They've done pay-per-views in Florida, multiple shows in Florida, probably try that again. They've probably done more shows in Florida than they have anywhere else, with the exception of maybe Nashville. So I'm okay with that. Jammin' Music Man says, is it true that Power is leaving YouTube? Jammin', I think the idea is once the TV deal's announced that they probably will leave YouTube and bring Power to whichever station that they get brought into. But I don't think that's been announced yet. So I don't think you have to worry about it. For the time being, enjoy it while it lasts here on YouTube. But I think at some point, it'll probably go to a network. Billy says that there's 2 announced, and I only could imagine that one of those is going to be for Power. Also, to touch on Markova, whether having NWA matches or not, for any reason in a ring, I'm glad for her and Mercurio. It's guaranteed work and money coming in for both of them. Yeah, I agree with you there. Corgan explains the remote shows costing more than the normal ones, so the flying in the talent a day early or things like that, Power leaving YouTube for an app or TV, another mistake. I don't know if it's a mistake, Dow. I mean, we kind of have done this a couple of times on the show, whether it was on the pre-party or on the Alliance guys, but at most they're probably making around $2,000 a month from YouTube, not $2,000 an episode, like $2,000 a month. And that doesn't cover rent for most places. I'm not sure what they're paying to be in the studios in Skyline in Nashville, but I know it's not cheap. And there's so many other considerations when it comes to making money that if Power is an abject loss and it's a tax write-off, he's not making any money from it, at what point does he continue to keep doing it? If it makes more sense to get paid for, like, you know, getting a higher pay going to a channel like Tubi or Amazon or Netflix or something on those lines, why wouldn't you do it? And if it's going on like a broadcast top 20 cable channel, again, if they're going to pay for it, yes. And Paladin just brought up, they're still going to be on YouTube. Yeah, I don't see them going away. WWE still has a YouTube channel. TNA has a YouTube channel. AEW has a YouTube channel. There'll still be content available on YouTube. It just won't be the full episode. So, I think if you want the NWA to succeed, you want them to grow beyond YouTube. I'm not saying that they should abandon YouTube, but they definitely should go and find something better when they can, if they can. Willie says, I want a California pro indie promotion to be affiliated with the NWA. Willie, I'll tell you, man, I don't see anyone being a good fit. And that's someone who's from the scene. Nobody who's going to bring more exposure to the NWA being here, with the exception of Championship Wrestling. But I think that Dave Marquez probably wouldn't be okay with that. Let's see. Women of Wrestling is on YouTube along with Pluto TV. It's on CW in many places, or for me for Vice. Okay. Yeah, I get that. A lot of wrestling companies are still producing content for YouTube, but if someone's going to help you pay for your production or cover some of your production costs, that's a better route to go. If you get more advertising dollars for being on a network than you would on YouTube. You guys got to remember, I'm a YouTuber. Okay. I don't know everything about YouTube, but I know, like, hey, you can make decent money on here, but wrestling is very niche. It doesn't have a huge following. And Mr. Beast makes like millions of dollars being on YouTube. The NWA isn't making millions of dollars on YouTube. They just aren't. So again, a lot of wrestling this weekend, and of course the AML card the day after will also have our very own Colby Carino wrestling this Sunday. So again, stay tuned to what's happening with WrestleCade, and if you are interested in seeing some of those matches, make sure you are either subscribed or buy those episodes, because those are coming up soon too. And let's see. White Mike. I don't know who White Mike is, Mike. I thought you were White Mike. Again, I feel like everybody is on the table. Everybody's available. So if the NWA, NWA needs a Carolina territory. I don't disagree with you there at all, Matt. I think the NWA's home, to me, will always be the Mid-Atlantic area. And I know that the NWA in St. Louis, I know the NWA in Houston, and I know, the NWA has this rich history, tradition in Georgia and Florida, but it's that Mid-Atlantic territory that, went up and down, to me, is, I think, would make a lot of sense. And I think having a promotion based in the Carolinas makes a lot of sense. Dow, your Brian Idol is Mercurio. Mercurio is Brian Idol. I think he just goes by the name Mercurio when it's an NWA event, and otherwise it's Brian Idol. NWA is new. Kikuchi, what do you mean? James, it's hard to tell, man. I mean, look, you could. Let me see. Oh, there goes TikTok with one person watching. If you go to Social Blade, and you go to NWA, and you go to their YouTube channel, which they have 269,000 subscribers. Their video views have been viewed 17 million times. That's pretty good. Those are pretty decent numbers, but they're still not making that much month in a year. In a year, the max amount that they're making in a year is about 30K. That's not enough to make it worth, to not explore other opportunities. And when you look to see like where they're coming from, like who's watching, it's kind of hard to see if you don't have access to the, their socials. You don't have access to that information, but they're still clearing like 35,000 views, 18,000 views, and that's on a daily basis, but it's still it's not enough. It's just not enough. Yeah, I don't know what their international audience is. It's if it were me, if I was running the NWA, I'd find commentators who could speak foreign languages and have them dub over the broadcast in different regions, so that you could have maybe a program that has somebody who's speaking, Italian or French or German or Spanish or whatever, and grow your audience that way as well. NWA is New Jersey. I gotcha, Kikuchi. I had no idea that Mercurio, but now it makes sense. You didn't know that Mercurio was Brian Idol? He wrestled one match for United Wrestling Network Primetime Live as Brian Idol, and I did not think very much of it when he was brought into the NWA as Mercurio. I find him to be wooden and laconic, and I don't think he's very good. I don't think the character is very good, but I'd rather see Brian Idol in the NWA than Mercurio. All right. Kikuchi, I don't know what you're trying to say here. The Alliance Guys' own Jaden just reported that the NWA just signed a contract with OnlyFans. Look, there's a lot of places to see content. OnlyFans is one of them, sure. I totally get that too. Dow, I totally get that. I feel we gain more exposure, gain more users, even losing the overseas audience if the deal Billy has is USA only. Now, James, picture this, James. If Power goes to a network channel, and I'm not going to say CW because we know that NXT is coming to CW. So let's say it's the PAX network or Ion. The Ion, that's what it's called now, Ion. Let's say that they go to Ion. You could watch the show on Ion, or you could maybe download it later on their app, or they could probably make a secondary show like Power Surge or USA and bring that back. That would feature just one or two matches a week. You would still be able to appeal to an international audience and still have that YouTube audience as well. And who knows, maybe at some point that could spin off into another network show. If Tyrus had OnlyFans, it'd be dubbed Only Hams. NWA signed with OnlyFans. Does that mean we'll get Tyrus? Oh, God. No. I'd like to see the NWA bring back Rhett Titus. I agree. And then Paladin said times must be hard for the NWA. Those are hard times. NWA starting an OnlyFans channel. That's hard times. Dow says, maybe I could see the reality show get on A&E for Corgan tried when he had other wrestling promotions, not TNA. Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today, guys. This is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving here in the United States, and that is usually a time for us to be grateful. So real quick, I just want to acknowledge you guys, the hashtag NWA fam, who joins us each and every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as part of this Alliance Guys family of podcasts. The Alliance blog is really a community of like-minded wrestling fans that support the NWA, and we can't do that without you guys. So you guys showing up every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you guys have been so good to Jeremy and Scooby and Tim, and it really has helped grow this channel quite a bit. So thank you. I'm grateful for you guys that make us a part of your weekly viewing habits. You guys watching the shorts or leaving comments or sharing the videos. It's super appreciative. It's super cool that you guys do it, and I'm very, very grateful. We will be Wednesday. The other Alliance guys will be here. They'll be talking some MLW. They'll be talking, of course, NWA, maybe even recapping it. And then Thursday, we're going to be taking a knee that night. There won't be any fresh new content. There won't be a live podcast. But I do appreciate you guys being here each and every week and supporting us. Stay tuned to the socials. Hopefully we'll have some fun stuff coming up soon. But until next time, guys, again, nothing but gratitude for those of you that have made us a part of your weekly viewing habits. And I'm blown away by all the support. So happy Thanksgiving to those of you who are celebrating. And if not, just have a great week. And we'll see you guys at the matches. Thanks for checking out the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.